Made it. I made it. Hello. Today is Gerald Kraak. I should have actually done a I made it. Yes. I'm actually even having coffee. Just to Gerald Kraak Anthology Wednesdays. Let me pin the title for hello, happy Wednesday. Okay, I made it. Sure, the way I drove fast because I had to go and get that book. Okay, let me pin this. You also made a cup of coffee. Simula says she also made a cup of coffee. I made it, guys. I had to go and get those books. I bought my last books from Bargain Books for the sale. And I'm not lying to myself. I am really being honest. I'm not gonna ever buy books this year. I'm done. The one book that I have pre-ordered, I'll also talk about it later. But yeah, I got this. Here Comes the Sun, because I do have Patsy. So it's only natural. Did you say books? Yes, I said books. I know I said I was only going to buy one book. So I had to buy this because we believe you. Okay, believe me. I'm serious. So naturally, if you've got one book of one author, then you have to buy the other one. So yeah, I did say I was only going to buy this one book, but I asked them to find this book for me, and they found it because I really want to read this particular book. I want to read all these stories that are in here. So this is the book. This was supposed to be the final book. So okay, this is the final book. But anyway, Asikolab. So I'm back. I made it on time for the live read. And today is Gerald Kraak Anthology Wednesdays. And from the Gerald Kraak Anthology Volume 3, which seems to be my firm favorite. And I've read more from it. I'm reading from The First of Their Kind, Lillian Akampurira Aujo. Yes. So let me read. Actually, I found this. I need to read from the press release that I got a long time ago that introduced the Jacana Literary Foundation and the other foundation prize for the Gerald Kraak and the anthology for anthology for 2018 and 2019. So the Gerald Kraak Award and Anthology was created in honor of the late activist Gerald Kraak's extraordinary legacy of supporting human rights. This award advances his contribution to building a world that is safe and welcoming to all. The unique award calls for multi-layered, brave, and stirring African voices that represent a new wave of fresh storytelling, one that provokes thought of the topics of gender, social justice, and sexuality. So it goes on to explain that it can be works of fiction, it can be nonfiction, poetry, photography, journalism, magazine reporting. So yeah, I've been reading from that every Wednesday, 5 o'clock, and some of the live reads are saved on IGTV, and they are on YouTube. So yeah, so today I'm reading from The Heart of the Matter. I found a short story by Lillian Akampurira Aujo, The First of Their Kind, and I'm gonna start reading the back of the author's bio first, and then I will start with the story. So Lillian Akampurira Aujo is a poet and fiction writer from Uganda. She is the winner of the Jalada Prize for Literature 2015 and the BN Poetry Award 2009. She has been shortlisted for the Brittle Paper Anniversary Award for 2018 and longlisted for a Nomo Award in 2018. She is a 2017 Fellow of the Ebedi Residency in Nigeria. She has represented poetry at the She's presented poetry at the 2017 GIMAC meeting in Addis Ababa. Her work has been published by and in the Can Prize, Prairie Schooner, Transition, Jalada, the Revelator magazine, Babishai Niwe Poetry Award, So Many Stories, Bahati Books, Omenana, Enkare Review, Brittle Paper, and 2035 Africa, an anthology of contemporary poetry. Her poetry has been translated to Malayalam and is set to be taught in the Philippines for a contemporary African poetry class. She has been a mentor in the Writivism at 5 online mentoring program. So that is Lillian Akampurira Aujo. And let me take a sip. This is the first of their kind. Hi, hello. Hi, Zindadu. So, Nante Blossom sputtered as a gust of dust swept into her face. She ducked and raised a folded arm to her eyes. Hold on. Sorry. Just want to make sure. I feel like the lighting is not nice, but anyway, you can see me. Yeah. Okay. So I googled this story before today, earlier on, and it's a sci-fi, it's a feminist sci-fi. And when I was at Bargain Books earlier on, like 30 minutes ago, they suggested I buy Neddy's. I need to learn her surname because I don't want to butcher it. I'm not going to say it. But the title of the book is Who Fears Death? And it's sci-fi. Or is it fantasy? Yeah. So I was like, guys, I need to get to a point where someone suggests one book that will introduce me to fantasy and that will sell me to fantasy. I haven't explored it. But yeah, this short story is feminist sci-fi, so I'm actually excited for it. Okay. Nante Blossom sputtered as a gust of dust swept into her face. She ducked and raised a folded arm to her eyes, bending to shield herself from the strong wind. The air around her was so murky that none of the huts in the coven was visible from where she stood. As much as she wanted to attend the meeting, she had to turn around and stumble back to her hut. She could not brave her way to the middle of the coven where all the elders were gathered in the meeting hut to discuss the famine. It was 1.5 years since the rains. The last well was drying up, and there was report of some houses running low on provisions. The older women had resorted to limiting their food intake to frugal bits, saving the choice servings for the younger ones who needed to be nourished to bud babies. The last girl had budded 1 year back. Now, each morning, the mothers inspected their daughters' waists studiously, no longer able to conceal the worry in their eyes. They knew the coven could not survive without budding, at least not for long. They trooped to Nkwanzi, the medicine woman's hut, asking her when Nante's daughter would vacate the dark room so their own daughters would follow. Earlier on, Nkwanzi had been consulted about the girls failing to bud because they were not getting enough healthy food. She had come up with the idea of a dark room, and Nana Blossom, the first of their kind, had given up her tools hut for the purpose. In there, the girls would be protected from the harsh sun and nourished as best as the scarce provisions could allow. Each girl would have 3 weeks in the dark room. She would be oiled and fed, in the hope that her buds would sprout babies. However, Nante Blossom's daughter, Nani Blossom, had spent 2 months in the dark room. Nana Blossom, the first of their kind, had rushed out earlier. Oh, sorry. My space issues will pause this live. Hopefully this live will save. We've been having issues this week. Nana Blossom had carved out, the first 3 women. Wait, where was I? Nana Blossom, the first of their kind, had rushed out earlier before the sky darkened. Presently, she sat on her mud throne in the meeting hut, waiting for the storm to peter out to make the pronouncement. On her way to the meeting hut, she had clucked to herself, picturing the elders who would disagree with her. Budding, as in starting their menstrual cycles? I don't know. I don't know, Zintatu. I don't know. Let's read on. Because remember, it said budding babies. Where was it? Yeah. Without budding, They knew the coven could not survive without budding, at least not for long. So, Nana Blossom, the first of their kind, had rushed out earlier before the sky darkened. Presently, she sat on her mud throne in the meeting hut, waiting for the storm to peter out to make the pronouncement. On her way to the meeting hut, she had clucked to herself, picturing the elders who would disagree with her. The first 3 women that had arrived at the coven after Nana Blossom had carved out expansive tilling lots for their families, which guaranteed them bigger harvests over the years compared to the rest. Nana Blossom had led them, not having expected that the coven would grow so quickly over the years. It was now home to 20 more houses, and the food inequality from the original land allotments could not be ignored, especially at a time like this. So they have a food issue. As far as she could see, ordering all the houses to give up their grain to the mass granary was the best solution to save them all. The food would be rationed in equal parts to all 21 houses once a week. This stretching would ensure that everyone had a little of something to eat for a longer period, as they waited out the famine. As expected, the first 3 elders disagreed with Nana Blossom's idea, but they were outvoted by the other 18. To display their displeasure, they refused to rise as she made her leave after the meeting. So they're not understanding why they should share this, they should ration out the food. This gesture did not go unnoticed by Nana Blossom, who nonetheless walked out like nothing insubordinate had happened. Nani Blossom was still in the dark room. So Nani Blossom is the granddaughter to Nana Blossom. And Nante Blossom is the mother. Okay. Nani Blossom was still in the dark room. She ran one hand up her left torso, pausing to press her fingers into the dip of her waist for any nodular bumps beneath the skin. There were none. The thrum of her heart started slow, then grew fast as it climbed to her head. She told herself to calm down. After all, the miracle might be in her right side. As much as it wasn't the norm for children to grow out of their mothers from there, it still had been known to happen in rare cases. She repeated the movement, right hand searching right side, but all she felt were her curves, smooth and perfect. If Nana Blossom saw her now, she would say, with her white eye tinging a smoky gray, "Such wasted beauty you are, such wasted beauty." Nanny Blossom forced her grandmother to the back of her mind and reached for the calabash of sheer ghee under the wicker reed bed. She turned it, and the melting oiliness flowed into her hand, rubbing her palms together. She massaged her waist and stomach. "I am woman, and life will bloom from me." She did it all like Nkwanzi, the medicine woman, had instructed. She did not stop until her whole middle hurt with the heat of friction from her hands. She missed Koga Blossom, her elder sister. As soon as the famine got worse, she had started talking about leaving the coven, crossing the leaning hills that rolled toward the sky. "I won't be the first or the last to cross over," she had said, with a slight shrug. Nani had replied, "Anyone that leaves is not allowed to return." "What if you die out there? I think you shouldn't go. Nana would never forgive you anyway. You know how she hates scandal." "That's the proper thing to say when you're a ruler," Koga said, as if she herself had ever ruled over anyone. It was this confidence that Nani admired about her sister, how she decided what to do for herself. Besides, there was more grain last week than there is now. My friends from other houses say it's the same at theirs too. We shall all run out, eventually. Imagine me coming back with food and other supplies. I would be a hero. White Eye would be so impressed, she would pardon me for crossing over like the rest. White Eye was the nickname for Nana Blossom, a woman so stern that Nani would not... Sorry guys about the connection. Okay. Zindatu says, "Gosh, so much suspense. My brain is working overtime to figure out what's happening." I know, right? But like I said, it's like dystopian fiction, you know, but it's feminist sci-fi. So yeah, I like how it's touching on leadership in women. So the grandmother is the ruler of the first of their kind, you know. So keep with me, don't worry. Okay. White Eye was the nickname for Nana Blossom, a woman so stern that Nani would not have dared to mock her by herself. Even then, she never said it out loud, convinced that their grandmother would somehow hear it and put a curse on her. "That is silly, Koga. How much food or supplies would you be able to carry? I cannot imagine you laden with sacks and sacks of things. Sometimes I wonder where your head goes when the old women start with their stories. There are porters in all their villages, nice, strong men who could carry a mountain on their shoulders. I am sure I can find a few and make them do my bidding." Nani laughed at her sister for believing in the exaggerated strength of men. "That's old women talk, and you know it. And if you believe that, you must also believe that these men were savages. They were always the first to bundle up the budding women in ropes, with weights of stones around their shoulders. Having been budded in the coven themselves, the two girls and their mother had no experience of life in the villages that the first budding women had been driven from. There they had been viewed as freaks that would bring curses to all around them. The solution had been to abandon them in distant dense forests where they would surely die or be killed by wild animals. Nana Blossom says that some were kind. They even tried to stop their elders from banishing her. They can't all be bad. Nani, at a loss, like she always was with her sister's arguments, said in a small voice that did not convince even herself, "What if they are? What if they stone you or capture you?" "Oh, Nani, I will miss all your worrying." And Koga Blossom hugged her sister goodbye. "The rains might come soon, maybe a week or two. I saw a rainbird yesterday," said Nani Blossom, in a last desperate attempt to keep her sister home. She knew she would be gone by daybreak, like all the others who made off in the night. Now, the orange light of a fading sun twinkled at her through the only chink in the mud and wattle wall. She had lost another day in the dark room, and still there were no babies besides her. In the morning, Nkwanzi would be in to prod her sides for signs of progress, and she would leave with the same flat look of disappointment in her small beady eyes. 2 months later, in a lit hut next to the dark room, Nana Blossom Kimuli, head cocked to one side in her usual way, said to her daughter Nante Blossom, "Is it that my ancient ears have become deaf to infant cries?" "The day for that is yet to come, Ma," Nante Blossom replied coolly. "Ah, if you are waiting for the day I lose my faculties, you might do so until the moon grows hot. You have to twist whatever I say, Ma. Longevity is the gift I got for all that suffering. Can you imagine this coven with no one? No, there was no coven. It was just a dense forest where my brothers left me to die. When they realized you were different," Nante Blossom added. Nana Blossom shushed her with a hand. "No, they threw my first set of baby girls down the cliff. There were 3 of them." Nana Blossom spoke as if the tragedy had only happened yesterday. "I'll never forget that morning. The dawn light spread over the hills like it was going to be a normal day. But then I turned, and there they were, coffee brown, wet and slimy like newborn calves." It had bothered Nante at first, Nana's likening of newborn babies to calves. But Nana had told her that before her first 3 girls, she had never seen a baby straight from the womb. The babies she had seen were clean, dry, and wrapped in soft cloth, after having been received by one of the married women in the clan. "Up to now, I don't know where I got the sense to hold them. Before me, it had never been imagined that a woman could have children just like that, without a man. But there I was, with my 3 girls in hand. Joy overcame me, my girl." Nana Blossom patted her daughter's hand as if to make sure she was still there. "I bawled so long that the whole village heard me. That's how my 2 brothers found me. What omen is this? What evil is this? Nana Blossom's voice dipped to mimic them. Then they made the alarm that summoned my mother. Nante Blossom nodded and turned to leave her mother's hut. I need to go to the gathering. I had come to tell you that they are all expecting you. Of course they expect me. Sometimes I wonder what you lot would do without me. Can't even finish my story. Nante Blossom's left cheek twitched. She could not understand how her mother could be so self-absorbed at a time like this, when a famine was upon them. How can you think of your old stories at a time like this? Aren't you in the least bit worried that the elders of the houses are calling for another meeting? What is it that they want now? Everything that was to be said was discussed last month. Okay, let me see. Okay, so Zintatu was laughing at that comment about the men. Nani laughed at her sister for believing in the exaggerated strength of men. So Zintatu says they must be witches or magical creatures whose powers are passed on to baby girls. Yeah, that's what I thought as well. I know, right? Like, so now there's a meeting, and they've called a meeting, but the ruler is not the one calling the meeting. So now she's just irritated that they're calling another meeting. Okay. What is it that they want now? Everything that was to be said was discussed last month. Clearly, that is not what they feel. They have no right to call meetings. That's my preserve as the first of their kind. Clearly not anymore, Ma. Don't dare say that to my face, her mother said. There was nothing here but trees and more trees and more trees. I built all this. I made the shelters that welcomed them. I salved their torn heels and gave them a drink of water when they could have died. I organized them, gave them the tilling lots for their houses. What is your website address? It is on the link. There is a bio on my profile, but it is bookamoso.co.za. Hi, Ramazimela. Okay. They would have gave them seeds to plant. So she's counting all these things that she did for them. They would have all died without me. I refuse to be summoned by them. Do you see that? It's like power at play, right? But Ma, what if they found out about the food? Nana Blossom scoffed. Huh? How would they know about it? It was dark when we hid it. And my title has no meaning. My title has to mean something. I can't be like everyone else, waiting for scraps from the communal granary. Do you think that daughter of yours would be glowing the way she is now? Ma, if they find out, we are dead. Maybe we should unearth it and take it to the granary. Are there birds singing nonsense into that head of yours? Are you the daughter I bore? Are you the one to inherit my title? Do you think you will manage this coven with softness? It's not softness, Ma. It is fairness. Fairness that lets you starve is stupid. I don't believe in that kind of fairness. Nante Blossom felt her chest fall. She had not realized that she had been holding her breath. At least come to the meeting, Ma. Even if it is just to humor them. Remember, you are one and there are 10 of them. Yeah. So now she feels like, and now she's not even sharing her food. She didn't take her food to the granary, which was supposed to be part of the communal rationing. So yeah, Zintatu says, capitalism. So she hid her food. You know, as a leader, you hiding the food, and your community is going through a famine. You know, so her daughter feels like it's fairness. So fairness, and she's saying fairness that lets you starve is stupid. I don't believe in that kind of fairness. Nante Blossom felt her chest fall. She had not realized that she had been holding her breath. At least come to the meeting, Ma, even if it is just to humor them. Remember, you are one and there are 10 of them. Nana Blossom sat back heavily in the wicker chair. Her white eye seemed to lose some of its milkiness, and Nante knew her mother was finally considering how bad things could get for them. Tell them my old scars hurt, Nante sighed. At least that was a small concession on her mother's part. There was a heaviness to Nante Blossom's steps as she headed to the meeting hut. The air was thick with brown dust, and as she shielded her eyes, a whirlwind gathered it into a neat swirl taller than her, right at the mouth of the hut. She ran straight into it, emerging on the other side, spluttering and coughing on the dung-daubed floor. 10 pairs of eyes bit into her. She gathered herself up as best as she could, making a show of dusting herself off as she thought of how to start the conversation with the elders of the coven. We were waiting for Nana Blossom, not you. One of the women cut into her thoughts. May it be well. In woman is creation. Nante Blossom recited the customary greeting to dispel the tension in the hut. She was greeted by silence and not by the expected reply, and so it will remain. That is beautiful. May it be well. In woman is creation, and so it will remain. She sends her apologies. She is unwell, Nante Blossom continued, ignoring the silence. The woman who had spoken first cleared her throat. I will ignore that Nana Blossom's absence at this meeting is an insult, not only to us, but to the whole coven. She paused and took her time looking at each of the old women gathered in the hut. Nante Blossom noted that the woman omitted to call her mother by her title, the first of their kind, or at least by both their names as a sign of respect for a peer. She had referred to her mother as she would her child. So I will rely on you to tell her what we have to say. The famine is upon us. There is nothing left to eat. What will our leader do to help us? These are hard times. She knows it too. And it is the same in our house. Nante Blossom's voice softened, remembering the sacks of grain buried behind their hut. Imagine. Is that so? Sometimes we really wonder. If you would rather see us die of hunger than let us cross over to find something to eat. So this is what they wanted, to make the crossing as they pleased. Whoever left would not be allowed back. It was that simple. Her mother forbade it for safety reasons. What if one day the coven was ambushed by the villages they had all been banished from? What if those cruel men followed one of the women back? Then what? You are the oldest and wisest here. You lived the horror of being abandoned in the depth of forests to die of starvation, but I only have the stories. It seemed to Nante Blossom that the whole hut released a heavy sigh. But the woman went on. Didn't your own daughter leave a few weeks ago? Did you think her presence would go unnoticed? That one, the way she loves to know everyone's business. Nante Blossom focused her gaze somewhere above their heads. It is true, Koga Blossom is no longer here, but she escaped, same as the others who want to cross over. You have said yourself that she was stubborn. Neither my mother nor I knew she was leaving. We would have chained her to a stake to keep her here. So you would punish your own, eh? They'll impeach Nani or go rogue. So would you punish your own, eh? Or is this the talk you say for the rest of us? You are the daughter of a two-faced woman. It can't be. I don't know where you are getting all these ideas, but the first of their kind would never condone wrongdoing. I can't deny that running out of food is worrying, but crossing over is not the solution. We need to stretch what is left and wait for the famine to end. Well, isn't it starvation we await now? Are we sure we shall not begin to die? You don't know death, but we know death. It comes for anyone whenever it wants. It comes for the sick and for the frail. And now we are becoming those frail women. For at least 25 years, no woman who budded had aged or died. Nana Blossom herself seemed to have stopped aging at 35 when she had been banished from her village. The rest that came after her, the 20 in the meeting room, had also stopped aging at whatever age they had budded their first girls. But since the beginning of the water and food crisis, reports of wrinkles that grew in the night and appeared in the morning went around the coven. There was also talk of women whose vision had blurred overnight, and of women who slept with straight backs but woke up the next day bent over like hillocks. Nante Blossom tried to reason with the women one more time. I have heard about death, yes. At least in this coven, there is a chance it won't come to that. So they don't age, they don't die once they've budded. So yeah, like I kept imagining so many things. But anyway, let me see. I think I can finish this. So she's trying to reason and put and make them feel like she is with them, but I don't think so. Nante Blossom tried to reason with the women one more time. I have heard of death, about death, yes. At least in this coven, there is a chance it won't come to that. Have you all forgotten what you left behind? Do you think they will spare you once they know who you are or where you're from? The last woman to be banished from her village had come with the news that the villagers whispered of a coven of witches beyond the forest. That is how she had known to trudge on through the dense forest in search of the other outcasts. If we meet our death there, maybe it is our fate. To think you can outwit fate is arrogant, is it not? The woman spoke like the Kimulis had colluded to keep the rest of them in the coven against their will. We are safe here. It is better for us here. Not the best, maybe, but we are safe among our own kind. Is that not so? Nante Blossom said, our own kind do not trick us, lie to us. Is it not true that you have buried sacks of grain and supplies by the tilling lot behind your hut? Another woman added. A hot flash of shame rose in Nante Blossom's face. She had not suspected that anyone could have seen her mother and herself drag the heavy sacks behind the hut, where they dug a shallow hole to hide them. They had done it on the night the council decided that each house would give all their food to the communal granary, from where it would be rationed equally to each house. Nana Blossom had said, at least we shall have something extra for us. Zintatu's asking, how did they find out? I also don't know. I think it happened because someone was looking through their window or something. But yeah, they found out. Okay. At least we shall have something extra for us. Now that we have to ration all the food, who knows when this hunger will end? Imagine Nana is a leader who is looking for she's looking out for herself and not worried about her people, you know, much like someone we know, right? Or an institution we know in this country. So Nante Blossom realized there was no way of denying the allegation. She tried to twist the truth out of it. Yes, we hid the grain, but it is an emergency stash for the girls who reach budding but fail to bud because of poor feeding. Aha! Hear this crafty woman, my dears. Be very careful of a bird that keeps its food in different nests. Did she not say that she thought the famine wouldn't last? Now you are the same person saying you knew it would last. The woman who had spoken first pointed an accusing finger at her. That is not what I said, Ma, Nante Blossom said. A third woman stood up with a sweep of her arms around the silent hut. Do you know how many of our young ones are not budding? I have not seen you at my hut with food for my 2 daughters, 6 months and no babies. And as if on cue, teenage girls started coming through the door. They lined up on one side of the wall and held up their loose bark cloth tops. They all had small shiny bumps in the left side of their waists. They looked nothing like the big rough scars that were left when babies detached from their mothers. And you have not called any of these girls to the dark room. Every house has its turn. All we have to do is decide who is next. Nkwanzi decides who is next. Nkwanzi knows best. Each girl is different. As you can see, we all do not have the same nose. The women had seen through this ruse as well. Nante Blossom thought. Her mother had bribed Nkwanzi's house with more ration than everyone else to keep her daughter in the dark room for as long as she needed for her to bud. Where's your Nkwanzi anyway? She seems to tend only to you. I can't remember the last time we saw her. Nkwanzi should have been with the 20 women in the hut, since she, like them, was among the first women to arrive at the coven. So she wasn't called to this meeting, a 5th woman said. There was no need for her to be here. There was no need for her here. We already know which side she belongs, don't we? Another woman answered her. Look, I see there is a misunderstanding. We can talk about it. And Nante Blossom tried to explain. We are talking about it now, and it has been decided. The first woman, who was obviously the leader of the group, stepped forward. Take that girl of yours out of the dark room before we remove her. From now, we shall decide which girl goes in there, for how long, and we shall supervise the budding ourselves. Only the first of their kind decides that. There is no longer such thing. Tell your mother we denounce her and that title. We, the first of our kind, have spoken. The woman's eyes held a soft fire. Maybe this was fairness extending her hand. Nante Blossom would not wait to get burned. All right, as you wish it, so it will be. The women trooped out of the meeting hut, with Nante Blossom trailing behind them. So that was the first of their kind. So the way my understanding of this short story is that they're not witches. The community calls them witches. They just give birth in a different way, because it is described as inventive dystopian fiction and feminist sci-fi. Like, I just concluded that they're not witches. They are women who are different. So they call it budding, but they birth children here. So their nana gave birth to, she budded 3 babies. So she budded triplets, and her brothers threw them over the cliff. And that's when they left her at the forest, and then she started this coven, and more like her started to come, and this community of women started. Hello, Sue. Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you. So how I feel like this was a way to show elitism, and like this leader wants to rule over them. Yes, she's the first of their kind, and she's the one who built this community, and she's the one who gave them seeds and everything. They have abilities that threaten the male species. No wonder they were left to die, right? So yeah, I just felt like it shows that in every community there is corruption in some way or the other, even if it's just women. And like the writer is trying to show that they, like, this leader wants to just keep all this food for herself only, and yeah, and the abuse of power. But I liked how touching on the heart of the matter, because this volume is called The Heart of the Matter. The Nante Blossom had heart. She could see that her mom is just not being fair. But I loved how even when women are in charge, they are still corrupt. Exactly. Isn't that too? They're still corrupt. I mean, she's still looking out for her own household first, and then she's also bribing someone else to ensure that her household is looked after, much like governments everywhere. So there is corruption everywhere. I loved how Lillian wrote it. It's beautifully written. Yeah. So that was today's reading, and I'm sure you are happy that it's almost an hour, Zintatu, because like everybody's always complaining how I'm reading from 5 until past. But yeah, that was today's reading of The Heart of the Matter, the Gerald Kraak Anthology Wednesdays. I hope you enjoyed it. And there's 3 volumes to this. I'm hoping that Jacana will be able to print the 4th one. Looking forward to it. I actually need to read up on it and see. But the first one, which was Pride and Prejudice, this was the inaugural one. And volume 2 was As You Like It. I love their covers, and my favorite one is The Heart of the Matter. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I will be sharing I'm doing the challenge, the 7-day challenge for promoting reading. How much did you buy your collection for? So the only one that I bought was the Pride and Prejudice one, which was it wasn't $260 though. The price on here is $260, but I bought it at Love Books. It was a book sale, hence the red sticker. It was the birthday sale, so I bought it 2 years ago, I think 2018. And yeah, this was $260. So I will check for you and then we'll chat. But this I got, I think one of them, this one I got from the publisher, and this I bought at the book sale, at the Jacana book sale, when they had the sale, and that was like all the books were weighed, so it equaled, every book equaled about 20 bucks at the time. But yeah, let's hope there will be more sales. But Loot does have them. They are available. I think also Afrocentric Lit has this one. Someone is asking if I got it at 70% off at the Love Books. Yes. So that year on their birthday they had that 70, because every year they have on their birthday they have that one day they have the 70% for the one day, and then the whole week of their birthday week they have I think 15%. So I got that one, this one for 260 minus 70% off. So yeah. Loot does have them. I think a few of my friends got the whole collection from Loot directly, and yeah, but it is available on Takealot, Loot, even directly. I think you should be able to get them from jacana.co.za. But I know I saw Afrocentric Lit sharing that he's got stock. I also bought As You Like It from the Jacana sale. Yeah. So this one, I think it was a gift. It came with another book. I think it came with something from Blackbird Books when Blackbird Books was still with Jacana. But yeah, I got it as book mail that year. So that was today's reading. It will cut me off in a bit, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'll do my last book haul for Bargain Books tomorrow. Maybe I'll do another reel. Check out my reel. I posted my first reel and I shared my book mail from Quella. I got these two from Quella. So just go onto my profile and then check the reels icon, and then you can like my first reel, please. So I got these two yesterday, and I only opened them, well, I checked them out yesterday, but then I posted the reel today. So yeah, I'm looking forward to these as well. I did say no more book buying. I'm done. These two were the last, I promise. Yeah. If you just came in and I'm finished with the reading, it will be loaded up on IGTV just now. Hopefully the phone won't freeze or anything like yesterday, but yesterday's book reading was not saved. Sorry about that. But yeah, Zindata says, girl, stop lying. Yeah. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. This will be loaded up on IGTV, and I will load it onto YouTube for archiving. And hopefully when we get to 100 subscribers, I'll start sharing new content on the YouTube channel. Yeah, and I'll actually start doing giveaways, because I do have some books. See, there's some books there to give away. Yeah. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 5 for, tomorrow is what, Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. Tomorrow's online book reading. Okay, online magazine reading. Okay, cool. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm not lying, by the way. Bye.